Hello everyone, my name is Lowko and welcome to the first real grand finals played on the brand new StarCraft 2 balance patch. This best of 5 series takes place on the new PTR, the one with all of the bugs, the one with all of the issues. I'm sure that this is not going to be the final version of this particular patch. We'll probably see quite a few adjustments moving forward, but that certainly does not take away that this series should be really entertaining because we have some of the very best players in the world facing off against each other. So first off, in the bottom left, playing in red, playing with the Terran, we have none other than ByuN, and his opponent, likewise also from South Korea, playing in blue with the Zerg. We're looking inside of the main base of Solar. Now, even though Protoss has been all of the talk lately, the change to warp gates, it's created a bit of a divide in the community. Like, half of the people are saying that Protoss is now unplayable and that we need the mothership core back for some reason. I strongly disagree with that. Never liked the mothership core personally. And then the other half are saying that Protoss is absolutely busted and you should never be able to lose a game with it. It's probably, the truth is probably somewhere in the middle. For this particular series, we will not have either of these two players actually playing Protoss. It's going to be a Zerg versus Terran, but I think that's mostly, due to the players. These two are some of the very best in the game. It's going to be a command center first here on the low ground for ByuN. Completely scoutless. It's before a barracks goes up, so this is ridiculously risky. Even more so than in the current live version of the game. So let's talk about that actually. This is one of the things that Blizzard is trying to encourage with this new patch. Well, or dissuade, I guess. It kind of depends on your point of view. But either way, going for a CC first like this, for Terran in particular, is significantly more risky than it ever has been. So, at least for like the last decade, okay? Ever since they increased the starter worker count. So, starting off with 12 workers, it means that you just get income way faster. The game develops much quicker. Initially here, ByuN made a bunch of SCVs. He then, of course, started up that CC after a supply depot, and he's doing so completely in the dark. If this would be him going up against some sort of spawning pool first play, he would be in a world of trouble. Lucky right here, though, for the Terran. It's going to be a hatch into a gas geyser and then also a spawning pool. It's a little bit less risky for the Zerg, mostly because of the fact that, well, you need larva for unit production, right? And in a way, like, this is kind of like the barracks of Zerg, so you kind of need that additional larva generation for practically any strategy, and it's just how the game is balanced. Actually, one additional change as well is that command centers now provide less supply than they used to. So the starter worker count is a change, but also the fact that this is not like... It's still a supply depot built in as well, but it's not quite as powerful as it used to be. Double orbital command, though, on the production tab here is really nice. And it's going to immediately give a massive boom here to ByuN's strategy that he will be following this up with. What I personally really like whenever Terran does take this gamble early on is some sort of timing attack on the back of this. Because when you think about it, right, like ByuN has already taken the risk. So if you can now line up, say, like a Marine push with Stimpak, Combat Shields, +1 infantry attacks, like all of those 3 upgrades finish up right around the same time. Really, there's a dozen different options that you can choose from. But any sharp timing attack from here that hits right when the upgrades finish is going to be significantly more powerful for Terran than it normally would be if you open up with a barracks into a command center, just because you get this economy going earlier, and therefore, well, you're obviously going to be able to get more units out faster. So the risk has already been taken. Solar, though, is responding in kind with a very fast third hatchery right now. So this may very well be one of those situations where ByuN is being very greedy, but now Solar knows that ByuN has been very greedy. So sometimes the best way to fight fire is with fire, right? You could try and bring in an extinguisher, I suppose, but I think fighting fire with fire is usually the best choice, especially as Zerg, when you have that larva mechanic and you can pump out so many drones really early on. So additional queens coming up right now. We've got ourselves a starport as well inside of the main base. Yeah, we are going to go into a medevac here. There's no tech lab available, so no Banshee follow-up. It's quite common for Terrans to go Hellions into Banshee, of course, but not going to be the case this time around. And honestly, this is a bit of a funky start here for ByuN. Are we going to be seeing an armory, maybe? Like, will this be some sort of, like, Marine Hellbat push? Because these Hellions are going to achieve very little, I'm afraid. With this many queens already coming out. Solar, okay, nice little trick there. Attacking his own units to get the splash damage of the Hellion to get an additional kill on that creep tumor. Ah, we're just playing full macro. Okay. That's, I guess, an alternative choice as well. We're fighting greed with greed, and then we're fighting that greed of the opponent yet again with greed. So I guess what Solar needs to do is fight the greed of his opponent with even more greed and start up a 4th hatchery, right? This is that StarCraft equivalent of like 20 minutes no rush. It's a weird gentleman's agreement. Well, ByuN is going to be ruining it here, though. He's been already attacking those creep tumors. And he is going to test a little bit of a drop. But honestly, this is very non-committal. Yeah, just 6 Marines inside of a plane. Fair enough. A little bit of pressure as well with those Hellions. But really, the best they can hope for is a creep tumor or 2. We have some Spore Crawlers coming up together right now with double Evolution Chamber. So this is another form of greed, actually, here from Solar. Maybe I'm overusing the word a little bit, but it seriously is. This is nice. Getting those creep tumors is actually quite significant. But he is now going for double Evo Chamber before Lair. So we're nearly 6 minutes into the game, right? Solar's not even really thinking about a Lair yet. I think his next 250 gas is going to go to double Research inside the Evo Chamber. And then at some point, eventually, is when we're going to be seeing a Lair. But it means that he won't have any mobile detection. He's not going to have Bingling speed. There we go. He's not going to get any sort of real tech out anytime soon. 4th hatchery also to boot. So this is a pretty spicy game. And in a way, it's kind of old school. This is what we used to see a lot more of. I want to say like 5, maybe 6 years ago. This used to be more common before, well, players really got comfortable against these type of strategies too. So there's finally the Lair now coming up inside of the main base here for Solar. Baneling Nest as well, so he can go into a reasonably timed Baneling speed. But we're now kind of entering unexplored territory on this new patch, because even though, of course, well, we have seen these type of games a lot in the past, all of the timings of all of the little things have changed a bit. Like, for example, Baneling speed is now a little different than it used to be, right? I mean, they took away 5 HP, then they added it back. The research is a bit cheaper. There's lots of little adjustments that do ultimately change these timings quite a bit. Usually, though, Baneling speed is the critical defense for the Zerg. This little run-by here with Zerglings, though, actually, it's a little bit more than a little. Yeah, we're not really reacting to it. That will be a bunch of dead workers. There's a few Marines available. Stimpack will be done. Okay. Okay, it'll be fine. I think ByuN really wants to make a move for this 4th hatch, but you can see the indecisiveness, right? And that is the type of thing that can cost you. Now the Queens are already setting up for defense. We have a bunch of Banelings as well offensively being used. We've got a bunch of them on creep. Baneling speed has been fired up. Hydra then on the back of this as well. This is really just Solar cruising along. Okay, yeah. 2 supply depots, 2 SCVs. Not bad at all. Not bad whatsoever. Okay, what about this attack, though? So this is what ByuN has been cooking up with this early game, well, greed of his. I'm a little bit afraid that it's not going to do all too much. Although the Widow Mines! Okay, he just decides to pass the one over there on the right. Whoa, he decides to pass it by entirely. No Baneling speed yet, but keep in mind that ByuN does not know when it will be done. He decides to stand still and target a few of them down. But I think that will be totally fine for Solar. This is only going to get easier from here. Centrifugal Hooks is nearly done, and that's going to give those Banelings their little roly-poly upgrade. 2nd factory in the meantime at the front for ByuN. That is indicative of him wanting to go for a 4th command center here momentarily. 5th hatchery in the meantime building up all the way at the 12 o'clock position. So even though this is played on the PTR, man, we're not seeing the players really make any crazy deviations. Widow Mine? Ooh, nice retarget there from ByuN. Making sure he got the middle of that pack of Banelings, and that was juicy. My main concern, though, here for the Terran is just the sheer amount of income that Solar is now going to be able to generate. Because of the 4th command center, ByuN can keep pushing for a little bit longer, but Solar is feeling comfortable. He would like to connect all of these bases a little bit more with some creep. But when, yeah, he's just going to be able to fight on the creep, life should be fine. I don't really see ByuN being able to kill a hatchery here, although he's going to try. Let's see. Maybe there is enough firepower here. Yeah, this is still pretty cost-effective for Terran. He bruises the base for a little bit, but it's not quite enough. There's a secondary army now marching in the middle of the map too. Medevac drop is still at least imminent at that 12 o'clock base. We have an infestation pit coming up for Solar. Medevac drop actually is, yeah, busted here with these Hydras. Not really going to be able to achieve too much. Okay. In the meantime, though, the 4th command center is finishing up. And I am expecting ByuN to start putting down a dreaded Ghost Academy in a little bit. So the Ghost Academy has had a lot of talk as well. A lot of people are obviously talking about the changes to Protoss, but I honestly think that the changes to the Ghost are maybe even more significant, to be honest. Like, they have very real potential. Like, obviously the warp gate change is huge, right? But at the very least, we're going to see a lot of adjustments. I'm a little bit afraid that the Ghost is not going to see any changes at all. And that the version that we have in the PTR is going to be the final version as well. Because I really think that that unit is a little insane. But anyways, here we go. Ooh, the Banelings do connect with a lot of the Widow Mines. And this is now Solar really going for his first real attack. And it's looking pretty much impossible for ByuN to hold. There is just so much Swarm available. And this is the result of Solar defending his economy so well. Siege tank there gets busted immediately. Banelings are going to turn around, and now the wall of the Terran is working against him as the SCVs have nowhere to run. So many dead workers, and while there may be another command center done at this point, Solar is opening the floodgates. He's getting a hive going too, so he will be able to go into the adrenal glands upgrade for the Zerglings. He can start up 3-3, maybe even like an Ultralisk Cavern if he really wants to. But honestly, this flood of Zerg is already looking very difficult to hold. Right now, the Medivacs are running out of energy too, so that means that the longevity in this type of Terran army is just down the gutter. Even the command center right now is burning down, and I've got a feeling that Solar doesn't even need a hive. GG. Okay, and that will take us to Ruby Rock. A pretty conventional game of Zerg versus Terran, right? I mean, that was Marine Marauder Medivac Mine going up against Hydraling Bane. How many times have we seen a game like it before? It's very interesting how everybody right below the absolute tippity top of the players, so these two are amongst the very best in the game that we've ever seen, right? Some of the very best players we've ever had in StarCraft. What is this, ByuN? Okay, sure. Sure, whatever. Everybody right below this level is trying out all of the fancy things. I mean, I haven't even brought up Microbial Shroud yet. It's actually an insanely powerful ability, and I think Solar would have really benefited from it, but this really is quite typical of pro gamers, I've noticed over the years. Usually, I guess pro gamers kind of have the mindset of don't change a winning team. So I think the mindset that they have, not all of them obviously, but I think broadly most of the top tier players have this mindset of, okay, I'm just gonna do the same thing that I've always done and what has always worked. And if I run into a brick wall, that's when I try to figure out what the solution to that brick wall is, and I'll make adjustments. So it's a little bit of like a slower progress, but yeah, the logic obviously is very strong. Like, why change a team that has been winning all this time? Like, why would you make any adjustments? There's a time for messing around, right? Maybe in the ladder games or some custom matches, you can try and, well, test out some of the changes. Maybe open up with like a quick Infestor build as Zerg, or go for like a one-base Ghost Rush, right? If you're ByuN. But when there's money on the line, like for a series like this, I think it's for probably about $400. Why change a winning team? Well, there is a chance, of course, that if hypothetically ByuN goes down like 2-0 in this series, and I don't know what the outcome of this match is either, but there is, of course, a chance that ByuN has been testing out a bunch of stuff. If Solar ends up winning this game as well, that ByuN is going to pull out some of the more spicy strategies moving forward, but only time will tell for now. It's going to be a much more conventional start here for the Terran this time, so Reaper into a command center on the low ground, although all of the timings are kind of out of whack. We're not doing an SCV scout ahead of this, and we are not adding on a Marine either. The norm is to send an SCV scout, go Reaper, and then into a Marine, just to keep this command center on the low ground safe. Yet again, Solar has gone for a hatchery first too, and this is something that Solar does pretty much always. So this may very well be a thing that ByuN only really does against Solar, because Solar really is a bit predictable in that way, and it's working against him a bit. If you do this against Shin, if you do this against Rogue, right, some of the other Korean Zergs at the highest level, they're much more inclined to go pool first. And you run into some problems. All of this is a bit funky though. You see how long that Reaper was allowed to roam around for before the Queen popped out? Like, all of the timings here are just a bit different. He's only got a single link kill though. Still, something that Solar would have liked to prevent. Okay. Command center on the low ground is going to be done here very soon. Yep, we're once more headed on over towards some Hellion production, but this time around it will be 2 at a time. And there's a little bit of spice. Okay. We don't have to wait until ByuN goes down 0-2. We are rushing out a Ghost Academy in game number 2 instead. All right. Game number 1, we're testing the waters. I'm really not surprised, by the way, to see Solar play literally the most standard game Zerg has ever played. Solar is known for just having rock-solid macro, but nobody really considers him the most creative Zerg under the sun. Like, he leaves that to other people. Although, you know what? He's opening up 2-base lair. Maybe don't speak too soon, Lowko, because that's also a little bit crazy. A Roach Warren hiding behind the Naturals mineral line. But anyways, let's go back to the Terran. This is a Ghost Rush. So what exactly have they changed about Ghosts? Long story short, if you want to sum it up real easily, the Ghost is now much more powerful in straight-up combat, but its snipe ability is not as strong. Furthermore, it went from 2 to 3 supplies, so it's a little bit more difficult to mass, especially in the late game. But because their flat damage output is just so much higher... Man, look how slow that Overlord is. They nerfed the Overlord's movement speed in the new patch. It's crazy slow now. I think it's actually slower than it's ever been, man. It's crazy slow. Anyways, because of the straight movement buff here the attacks buff here of the Ghost, the raw damage output of this unit is crazy now. We've even seen a lot of Terran players on the PTR rush out Ghosts against Protoss, which is just kind of nuts. Like, Zerg units are all biological, so it kind of makes sense for the Ghost to come out and use that, but against Protoss, I mean, EMP is insane right now, and the basic attack as well of the Ghost is not to be underestimated. There's the first snipe going down. Brenda quickly EMP'd. Okay, the one queen still left over, but this little Ghost attack is kind of nuts, man. Wait a second. Solar opening up roaches. I thought he was going to be safe, but look at the Ghost just popping these units like crazy. It's not really the Marines and the Hellions here putting in damage, man. It's a lot of the damage coming out of that one Ghost. Look at the Ghost here now. The only unit working away at that Overlord. It's hitting hard. And now the drones are just being roasted. Okay. Well, the gloves are off now for this particular match. Ghost number 2 has appeared as well. So the snipe ability is now 75 energy. But it's still pretty dang good if you want to be popping those Zerg units. The thing is, they're quite tanky. Like, they have quite a bit of health. Yeah, the health did get removed a little bit from the previous iteration, but it's back to the previous standard. Roaches don't actually easily kill this at all. I thought that a 2-base Roach opener was just about the safest thing Solar could be opening up with, but ByuN just absolutely tore it apart. Game number 3, we find ourselves on Tato Citadel, and yet again, ByuN is going for a command center first opener. I've taken the liberty to fast forward to 1.5 minutes or so of in-game time. Yet again, Solar is going hatchery first. Man, he can punish this Terran so hard in literally every single one of the games that we've seen so far, just by swapping around the timing of the pool and the hatch. Hatchery first is one of those strategies for Zerg that in a spreadsheet is just better, right? But StarCraft 2 can't really be played in spreadsheet format. Yeah, in theory, this is the best build to go for every single time as Zerg, but that doesn't mean that it is also the build you should be going for every single time. I think if you're practicing the game, if you're playing ladder mostly, yeah, this is probably what you should be doing. But in tournament games, it is so important, not just to like mix things up and keep the opponent guessing, but also to keep the opponent honest. ByuN's been playing very greedy early games, and he's been able to get away with it for free. I wonder what Solar's follow-up was going to be, right? Like, what was the plan going Roaches? Is it actually no longer viable to open Roaches against the new version of the Ghost? Because honestly, those Ghosts, yeah, they just popped the Roaches and made it look easy, right? The first queen getting sniped like that as well. It just started the avalanche that was the Terran swarm there. ByuN just rallying everything he's got to the other side of the map. Look at this. The Overlord is so bloody slow. I think it's gonna make it. Never mind, second Marine shows up. This is a dead Overlord. It's a slow Overlord that is now dead. Rest in pieces, Otto the Overlord. So they nerfed the Overlord speed to try and basically mitigate the early game scouting for Zerg. Because obviously if you're dealing... And this was again a CC first, right? So these are not by any means fast Marine openers. The timings are just a little bit different. Solar not quite used to them just yet. Should have been keeping that OV up on the high ground, I suppose. But anyways, it is a very curious way to change the early game up as well. After quite literally a decade of that unit being at the same movement speed, we suddenly see an adjustment to it. Ugh. Yeah. I wonder if that also needs to be changed a little bit. Maybe, like, they feel a bit too slow to me. I feel like they are just a little bit... I guess the key is to not misposition them in the first place, right? Like, in a way, Overlords are, like, the most busted mechanic in the game. Having flying supply depots and flying pylons, right? Like, that would be kind of nuts. Anyways, it's gonna be Hellion Banshee here this time around for the Terran. So much more conventional. I wouldn't mind seeing the Ghost build yet again. This time, though, Solar would have had Speedlings out, and I guess Speedling Queen is definitely the right answer, although I say that. There were obviously a lot of Hellions too with that build in the previous game, right? What about you go Hellbat Ghost? Like, if we now determine that indeed Ghosts get countered by Speedlings, and Roaches suck, what about a Hellbat Ghost Bush? That's not something we've ever seen before at the highest level, but it could certainly work, right? Like, what would you do against that as the Zerg? You just get all the Queens sniped, you get all the Roaches sniped? The Zorklings get roasted by the Hellions and the Hellbats? Yeah. Might be something worth experimenting with if you're a Terran on the PTR right now. Either way, this is just going to lead towards a much more conventional mid-game here for the Terran. We have double tech lab already. Marine production will be pumping here in just a moment. Lair coming up here for Solar. So this is much quicker than what he did in the first game, even though it's again a triple hatch opener. We do not have the double evolution chamber this time around, and I'm assuming we're going to be seeing a Baneling Nest. Although if he wanted to go for one... I was going to say he needs to plant it between right now and like 20 seconds ago. But okay, he did get it up in time here, and the idea is that you can line up the Baneling speed with the Lair finishing. So basically when the Baneling Nest finishes, he wants to be able to start up that upgrade for the movement speed on the Banelings ASAP. Ooh, misclick here on the drones. Pretty significant misclick, actually. Oh, no. Oh, no. Solar doesn't notice. That is more damage, and ByuN doesn't know it either, but that is way more damage than you're supposed to. There was no Spore Crawler here inside a natural expansion. Oh, no. This is... I mean, I don't want to call GG, but it may as well be. Every worker in StarCraft mines about a mineral a second. So, yeah, that was hundreds of lost mining time right there for Solar. If we look at the income now, yep. And this is obviously gonna reach equilibrium yet again here in a moment. But this little, I want to say like a minute or so of additional mining for ByuN is absolutely massive. Well, we have found a solution. Solar wants to go and apparently grab map control back by going Mutaling Bane. So this is the reason for the quick lair. We're now delaying upgrades altogether to go into a much faster Spire. One of the new music tracks, by the way, playing in the background. One of the biggest changes in this new patch is a StarCraft caster, man. I always have people asking, hey, what's the in-game music? Like, what are you listening to while casting games? It's always in-game music tracks. Like, I never really have casted any games without the official music tracks. And now we've basically had an expanded repertoire there, which is pretty sweet. Anyways, this is a big attack now, and keep in mind that Solar wasn't mining for a while, so he just doesn't have that many units. Baneling speed is also not started at the perfect time, so it's not gonna be done here for this particular attack. And ByuN going for a base snipe here over at the third is absolutely massive. He's gonna pop those Banelings real quick. Decides to pick up, though, and get on out of there for now. Queens are running on over here. They were busy dealing with the Banshee inside of that main base. Mutas are coming. And with Baneling speed finishing up, I think Solar should be able to keep this third base alive. A couple transfuses as well did go down onto it. This is the Terran giving it a move. Okay, actually pops one of the Mutas here. Pops the Banelings as well. Nice bit of micro by ByuN. Seeing these Mutas, though, chase all of this down is really nice. Yep. Seeing these Mutas chase you, it gives you time to prepare. Now, ByuN... he's not really preparing until right about right now. ByuN knows he's going to be able to keep the pressure up. He wants to get the kill on the third base. He is smelling blood in the water. He doesn't know how he's got so much more army than the opponent, but he does not care. He will happily take any advantage that he can get. And this is Solar. Yep, making a couple tremendous errors and immediately getting punished for it. Baneling? Baneling? Oh, okay. Well, that Baneling apparently was on the ramp and a little difficult to spot, but does it even matter? GG gets called. ByuN gets a very quick second win in this series. I think it's one of the things that we oftentimes forget about high-level StarCraft. When you mostly watch pro games, you forget how fragile the game actually is. You make one little mistake. At this level, it's game over. You forget putting your drones back to mining for about a half minute to a minute or so. That's basically game over, right? And even though on the lower ends of the ladder, you can get away with mistakes like that, at this level, it is just not something that is allowed. And that's another thing with these new patches. Whenever we do have significant changes to the game, well, people are going to have to figure things out again. All of the timings that you know are thrown out of the window. And suddenly, we'll see the top-level players making uncharacteristic mistakes again. But just for a little while, right? I don't really think it's going to be that big of a deal going into the future. But there will be maybe a couple months of uncertainty. Especially since this new patch will probably coincide as well with a balance update. Oh no, Solar. Yeah, I know that's a big mistake. Oh! No way! Wow, ByuN! ByuN actually decides to be the nicest person in the world. I wonder what they're saying. Maybe somebody in the comment section can let me know. Shout out, by the way, to the translators in the comment section. There's pretty much always a few of you that are happy to help us, understand what the players are talking about. ByuN decided to not actually go for the Overlord snipe. ByuN decided to just let it slip. I don't think you should have done that, to be honest, man. Like, maybe call me a prick. I'm okay with that, but yeah, no, I wouldn't be nice about it. I would not have been nice about it if I was in ByuN's shoes. But hey, power to him. He doesn't need it. I apparently do. What I was trying to say, though, is that the new balance changes will probably coincide with a new map pool change as well, right? And that will, yeah, just also throw a massive curveball into all of the established strategies. It's a good time to be a StarCraft fan, man. I keep saying it, but it really is. This is super annoying, though, for ByuN, because now he's going to have an Overlord up here on the high ground for at least a while. I guess he's going Banshee, so the plan is probably to go and just still kill this Overlord as soon as the Marines get back. But this would have always been a kill. Is Solar going to be polite as well with his little Zergling run by now? Nah. Well, he's just bumping his head into a supply depot. No SCV killed. One Zergling escaped. And you know what? I think Otto here is likely to die as soon as the Banshee, maybe Banshee number 2 decides to take a bit of a break up onto that pillar. As soon as the Banshee provides the high ground vision here, he should be fine. Anyways, third command center fired up here for ByuN. So this is a straight 1-1-1 here for the Terran. 2 command center 1-1-1. Not really something we see often anymore these days. We can tell, though, that Banshees can still be very effective in that previous match. The norm these days is to go triple command center and then finally add on your first starport. But maybe this is another one of those threats that we will be seeing the return of. Oh. Oh, really, ByuN? ByuN is going mech. Huh. You know, I would like to see another one of those ghost all-ins. I feel like the ghosts were kind of crazy in the second game of the series. I didn't even see Solar get close to defending it, but apparently, yeah, ByuN wants to play full Terran mech. Double armory as well behind the Naturals mineral line. We're going to be seeing mass siege tank, mass Thor. Or, alternatively, we can go battle mech, which would be Cyclone Hellion. Yeah, and I think that may very well what we were doing. It's a bit funky, though, with double armory. Usually, if you want to play Cyclone Hellion, you go for just a single armory, since a lot of your damage output comes from the Cyclone's ability. Yeah, apparently we still want to just get the second attack upgrade as well. You usually don't need the attack upgrade here early on. Anyways, Mutilating Bane yet again here for Solar. So also a strategy that is quite uncommon. Going for quick mutas in this matchup. We're seeing it more and more on the new patch, it seems, but at least historically, it's not been too popular. Okay. So, how does Mutilating Bane line up with Cyclone Hellion on this new patch? We have the Hellion improvement, we have the Cyclone improvement, both of them researching right now inside of the tech labs. We are going for the attack upgrade first. So real quick, right? Normally when you play this threat, you get most of your damage output from the Cyclone's lock-on ability. And abilities like lock-on in StarCraft 2 deal what is considered spell damage. Meaning that they don't benefit from attack upgrades at all. So, what is the point in getting attack upgrades if most of your damage comes from... Anyways, ByuN is always a bit of a magician, though. When it... Hey, is that little animation different? Wait a second. Am I hallucinating, or was that always there? I feel like we always had the spinny thingy, of course, on the armory when something's researching. But that little glowy thing in the middle. Is that new? Or have I... Dude, maybe that's been there for like 16 years and I've never noticed it before. But I'm pretty sure that may be new. Huh. Yeah, I know they added a bunch of new animations for Protoss as well. Like, for example, the Twilight Council now has a weird animation when it's researching something. And it's the same for where you're getting warp gates inside of a gateway. Anyways, here we go. Mutaling Bane. Muta's going in for the offense. Are we going to stop by the mineral line? Nah, we're going to go into the main base instead. The most difficult one to defend. And that will be a lot of losses. Looks like the Banshees have come back home for base defense. Well, they cannot really help out at all. No anti-air available over here, though, for the Terran at the moment. And while the Cyclones are driving back home, this is a bit of a disaster here for ByuN. So many SCVs die. We can tell it's a big reset, right? It's like the entire skill level of the game has suddenly dropped. It's like everybody has gone down like 500 MMR or so. Kinda crazy. These are all very uncommon strategies that we're seeing here. And it's that like decade of refinement that we've been in over the last, well, 1 decade, right? Like it's that decade of refinement that has temporarily been thrown out. I don't see ByuN really being able to do too much here with this type of attack. I mean, even if he kills the hatchery over here, if he really wants to engage, he's gonna have to fight deep on creep. This is a beautiful song, by the way. I love this tune. And I feel like it is indeed very appropriate for a Terran player on his last legs. This sounds like the final song in like a World War II movie. Anyhow, I think we're gonna see the Zerg player try to collapse on top of all of this. ByuN has just taken a ridiculous amount of losses. 35 SCVs have bitten the dust. +2/+2 is coming up, and we do still have triple mule production. Solar did take quite a few losses as well. The dancing between the Hellions and the Cyclones have been good. Look, we've only seen 3 Hellions and 1 Cyclone die. So, potentially, ByuN can make a bit of a death ball. If he goes for like a big push at 2-2, for example, that would not be a bad idea. He's also successfully somewhat boxing in the Zerg. He's a bit worried about it, but I mean, this is where those attack upgrades are handy. Getting rid of those Banes, not a bad idea. They're expensive. And this is not a very big Zerg economy just yet. 75 workers is not bad. Solar wants to set up a surround. He wants to collapse and sandwich this type of Terran army. Let's see if he can get it. This is dangerous play, though, man. Quite literally playing with fire here is Solar. Rather than going for the sandwich, though, we're going for the counterattack. And upon seeing the links, Solar is indeed going to be able to even up the score. And that means this all comes down to the map Winter Madness. And would you look at that? It's a spawning pool first from Solar. Opening up hatch first. 4 out of 4 games before this one. This time, though, he's not going up against a very greedy Terran, although there's still a chance that ByuN is just gonna go Reaper into CC on the low ground without a Marine and without an SCV Scout. Preferably, you send out an SCV Scout right about right now. He's not gonna do it. Yeah, all the timings here are kind of funky, man. Like, Terran goes into the orbital command here first, naturally. But now the command center on the low ground timing is all kind of funky. We're supposed to start it up already, but he just doesn't have the resources for it. How committed are we to the pool first, though? That's the question. Just 2 links? Just 2 links? Okay. Alright. Alright, don't get too excited about Solar going full pool first, okay? Solar isn't a very spicy player. Solar is one of those players who's been consistently top 8 for as long as I know. Like, it's been forever. He's been ridiculously good for a really long time. But he doesn't really play a very spicy playstyle, right? Like, he mixes it up from time to time, but it's very different from, like, the proxy hatcheries or all of the all-ins that we see some of his fellow countrymen go for. Solar is one of the very best, one of the most successful players ever. But he's also, in a weird way, a name that people forget about quite frequently. Because even though he's an absolute beast, he's just not got a particularly memorable playstyle. He's just very good at playing normal, right? And while playing normal is not bad, it's just that there's another Zerg player, most notably Cyril, who also plays normal, but he does it better. So he gets, yeah, all of the credits. Although I will say, Solar playing normal while being on the Korean server most of the time, although he actually ladders on EU quite a bit. There's the Ghost Academy rush again. Let's go. All right. He ladders on EU quite a bit these days, but usually the Koreans are very cheesy. Like, the Korean server, it's a ridiculously aggressive server. So Solar is, yeah, he's a beacon of truth, at least on Korea. Either way, this is another Ghost Rush right here from ByuN. So we might be looking at a very quick final game in this best of 5. Let's see. Man, the music, I just can't get used to it. I'm so... We also now actually have the potential to play Brood War tracks, if I'm not mistaken. At the very least, supposedly they should also work. I think I casted one game with a Brood War track playing in the background. Maybe there have been some as well, actually, in this particular video. But anyways, it's been something beautiful, man. I really like it. Hey, if you're liking these casts, by the way, if you could do me a favor and hit the like button down below, that would be fantastic. I'm trying to bring as many new patch replays as possible. I will, of course, be hunting down all of the best games, as I have been doing for many years. So if you enjoy high-level StarCraft, and you want to stay up to date with what's going on in the scene, definitely do make sure you subscribe so you get notified as soon as future videos go up, and maybe you get some more of the cast recommended as well. Or, for example, your YouTube homepage. But anyways, here we go again, man. I'm getting deja vu to game number 2, but this time around, it is a Zergling-based build. So, Solar not going Roaches. The Lings, yeah, they are quite high in damage output, and I think Lings are definitely the way to go. It's gonna be a very interesting phase of, like, rock, paper, scissors, though, in this matchup. Zerg is gonna be able to scout right now, but it's obviously much too late. He will see that there at least is going to be a follow-up that is going to be Stimpack based here for the Terran, but yeah, it is a it's a late scout, right? So if Zergs want to open up Roaches in regular games against, say, for example, like, I don't know, like Hellion Banshee or Marine-based builds, if you want to play Roaches against that, fine, right? Seems to maybe even be the best strategy to build. But if you now cannot go Roaches because of Ghost Academy-based openers, you may just accidentally auto-lose because you just simply do not know. Is it still worth playing Roaches at all? Because it's kind of like rock, paper, scissors. You can't know here as the Zerg player. I don't think there is a single tell that the Terran is really showing you. I don't think you can get an Overlord speed in or an Overlord scout in before this type of push either, and we're gonna continue. Oh, if you're transfusing fast enough, apparently you might be able to get the job done. Either way, no Ghost personal cloaking done, of course. I mean, they're still quite tanky, and they are still able to get rid of most of this army. So even though that looked kind of like a disaster there for Terran, he still ended up killing, well, 3 queens and 40 links. Hardly the perfect opener here for Terran this time around, but this is also very much so beyond testing the waters, right? Like, should you even go for a move out like that? Or would it be better to maybe sit at home for a while and wait for Medivacs, for example, to come out? Is that a 4th command center? Oh, ByuN is cooking up something spicy now. Wait a second. So this is Ghost Rush into triple CC, into 3 barracks, 1-1. And then into a 4th command center with immediately an additional 2 Rexes. What in the world is this? It seems to me a little bit cursed. But it's highly unlikely that Solar is going to go for some sort of big push on the back of this. As a matter of fact, Solar is also going for some pretty spicy greed here. Looks like we have reached another weird gentleman's agreement. just like as in game number 1. This game seemed to have all of the components of it being over really quickly with the Ghost Rush, but now we're following this up with pure macro instead. Hydralisk then, added into the mix. Hydroling Bane here for Solar. We saw how game number 1 ended, and this really is very similar. It's very reminiscent of exactly that. It's just about the perfect start here for the Zerg now. I mean, yeah, it took a lot of losses. 40 links died, but this Terran has been slowed down so much, right? And the thing about this, even though, like, resources lost-wise, it's totally fine for ByuN. We are in a very, like, momentum-heavy meta, most of the time, at least currently, where Terrans try to, like, snowball the game out of control. They deal a little bit of damage here, and then they go for the follow-up drop, the follow-up drop, the follow-up push, and then they win the game. This has negative momentum right now for ByuN. Like, we're trying to establish some of it with these drops, but Solar is just pushing them away. It's like batting a mosquito here, right? Like, yeah, it's a little annoying, but whatever. We don't really care. And that will usually serve Zergs just fine. Like, they like this sort of style. They like being in this much more defendable spot. It means that the creep can get out of control. It means that you can get the worker count that you dream of. It means that you can get the hive freely. And what I'm a little worried for here right now for ByuN is that within about a minute or two, this is all nice, but within about a minute or two, the entire map is going to be gooped up in creep. The hive is going to be, well, started or potentially even done. We should be seeing like an Ultra Cavern or a Lurker Den. And at that point, it's just so difficult for Terran to get back into the swing of things. Now, I've seen ByuN do it many times before. But usually the way that ByuN fights against this sort of thing is by building up command centers. Right? So he will try to go for like a dozen command centers of his own and make a lot of additional planetaries and orbital commands and all the rest of it. But that is going to allow Zerg even more freedom. So then suddenly you're dealing with creep right outside of your third base. No exaggeration, that will be what Solar is aiming for. Look, queens are already in the middle of the map. Okay, never mind. They're going back over here to the middle of the map. But they're trying their absolute best to just goop up the map as quickly as possible, because Solar knows that there's not really a whole lot Terran can do about it. ByuN is going to start roaming the map a little bit. Fair enough. We're getting Burrow going. Okay. No Lurker Den, by the way, so I'm assuming this will just indeed be good old Ultralisks. Ultralisk with Microbial Shroud, by the way, may very well be busted. It's really too early to tell, but the changes to Microbial Shroud do seem very, very nice for Zerg in the late game. So real quick, they added additional range to Microbial Shroud, and the ability no longer needs to be researched. Yeah, we're gonna go, though, for the tried and true threat instead. It's a single Viper, a single Infestor, Lurker Den now. Oh, okay. And then Adrenal Glands. Never mind. I thought we were going for the tried and true. Nanomuscular Swell as well. But this is Solar going for something a little bit odd. Forced to cancel a lot of Banelings there as well on the left side. 2 Vipers. Okay. +3 and then into +1 attack. Okay. So we are making the switch on over towards Hydroling Bane. With Infestor Viper for support. And then I guess potentially, look at this by the way, 6 command centers on the production tab simultaneously here for a moment. That's kind of crazy. Maybe we want to go and follow this up then as well with... I would imagine Nidus Worms is the main thing. Maybe Mass Overseer, right? I mean, those changelings dealing a lot of splash damage is kind of crazy. I don't really know how this works though now for Terran in the late game, right? So normally, we'd be talking about how Terran wants to build up their command center count and how you want to go for like a maximum of like 12 orbitals or so. But how does the new Ghost scale into the late game? Like, yes, it's much better at straight up fights than it's been ever. But also, it's now 3 supply rather than 2, meaning that your late game maxed out army is just not as big. Like, this is Terran now effectively maxed. He's got 100, well, supply here for army. That's nice and all. But this is the majority of it. Right? Like, there's a couple of siege tanks here and there, but really, this is it. And it really does look to me like there's a bunch of units missing. We actually only have 3 ghosts at this point in time, so it's not even that many yet. I guess it's mostly because of the insane worker count here that Terran has. 92 is more SCVs than what we normally see. So, this is a lot of unexplored territory for both players, really. They'll be testing the waters. They'll be checking what's viable and what isn't. Blinding Cloud is good. Blinding Cloud is really good. This command center here is gonna indeed be forced back up. No high ground advantage here really for the Terran. But still, he's gonna be able to tear this Zerg army apart. But look at the money. Look at the amount of money that Solar has. ByuN's been banking up by building up a lot of command centers, but that's a long-term investment. Solar already has thousands of resources ready to go. We're adding on a Nidus network now, fair enough. And there's the Lurkers. How do the Ghosts now work, though, against Lurkers? So, real quick, the snipe ability, so the steady targeting ability that usually Terrans do use against Lurkers, it used to cost 50 energy. Now, since Ghosts have a maximum energy count of 200, you would have, well, a maximum of 4 snipes per Ghost, right? They've increased the amount of energy that the snipe cost to 75. Meaning that not only do you get, well, more energy cost, on a maxed out energy Ghost, you can only have 2 snipes available. That's a massive change. So I don't really know. Like, a lot of these things are, like I said, unexplored territory. It's just a little different. Is it better? Is it worse? I don't know. I think in this type of scenario, the Ghost may very well be worse. I wouldn't be surprised. Nidus Worm does indeed go up. Apparently, by the way, the abducting on sieged up tanks is supposed to work again, but apparently it's bugged. So it doesn't currently work, but it's supposed to work, but it doesn't. According to the patch notes, you can once more abduct a sieged up tank, but I think Solar may actually be saying that right now. Maybe this is the first time he finds out about it. I don't know. Yeah, this is a Korean crying emoji. He's probably asking, hey, aren't you supposed to be able to abduct sieged up tanks? Because he seemed to try there. ByuN's like, I don't know. It's bugged. I don't know. I'm just guessing here. I don't speak Korean. Anyways, wait, can 2 Ghosts actually just absolutely pop this? Sorry, I just backed up a little bit. Did 2 Ghosts just absolutely tear the one Nidus Worm apart here? There's gonna be a Nidus. Oh, yeah. A couple SCVs join in, but I really don't think they're necessary at all. Nah, not even close. Okay. Solar has taken the upper right as well as the bottom left. Fungal growth, though. Left, right, and center. We did see an EMP there. Kind of funky. Look at the Infestor also auto-attacking, by the way. That's weird. They added effectively the High Templar water balloon ability to the Infestor now, too. So if you're a noob like myself, it's going to be much easier to actually control it. Something that shouldn't really matter too much for somebody of Solar's caliber, but it's quite nice for everybody below the pro level. Although I personally don't think it's good. I don't know. Like, apparently this is a bit of an elitist take that I have, but I really dislike it when we add training wheels to units. Like, in my mind, spellcasters are supposed to be hard to use, you know? I would actually be in favor of them removing the automated attack on High Templar rather than adding it to more spellcasters, but apparently a lot of people disagree, so it's okay. It's whatever. Baneling's trying her absolute best to tear these Ghosts a new one. This is all very risky, though, for Solar. I mean, I say that. He's got so much money in the bank. Very cost-inefficient trades here for the Zerg, but I guess it just does not matter, because he's got money for days. A couple of Zerglings also burrow underneath here. It's going to provide a little bit of vision. Oh, to potentially put down a worm later. But I guess ByuN noticed. Lurkers here on the right are denying this base over and over and over again. And now we have a Brute Lord transition for Solar underway. To get back, though, to the spellcasters and auto attacks, right? Like, I'm of the opinion that either we add it to all or we add it to none. So, High Templar have had it now for ages. Why are we only just now adding it to Infestors? And if we're adding it to Infestors, then why aren't we also adding it to Vipers? I don't understand the logic behind it, and it just seems kind of weird to me. How, like, some units get training wheels, other units don't. Zergs need to micro multiple spellcasters in the late game. Protoss has always only had one, really, that needs to be controlled, and then that is the one that... I don't know. I find it all very strange. Anyways. Blinding Clouds over here yet again, man. And it's so painful. A couple snipies here are nice, but that is a planetary fortress gone, and many SCVs as well are likely gonna get busted. Little Zergling here burrows underneath to prevent the command center from landing. And this is just going from bad to worse right now here for ByuN. Like, he's holding on. He's not in, like, a game-ending position or anything like it. But look at the mini-map. What in the world do you do against this as a Terran? Is the new Ghost better in this type of scenario, or is it not? Can Solar, because of the changes to the Ghost, actually play Brute Lords again? Because Brute Lords are considered kind of an unviable unit. Pro gamers don't usually make them, but maybe they're once more back in action now because the Ghost is not as strong. Little hard to say. Either way, I think Solar may have actually just prepared literally any tech he ever wanted. Because he's got money for it, right? So you may as well just get all the things so you can quickly transition back and forth. Another 16 SCVs die. Another siege tank falls over here too. While all of this is happening, Solar is also outmining the opponent. He gets an orbital command snipe. That's nice. But if we look here at the income advantage, this is why Solar is allowed to trade so incredibly inefficiently. If we look at the total resources lost, yeah, it's substantially more minerals. Well, about the same amount of gas lost right here for Solar. But he can just keep throwing units at a wall, and that is exactly what he's planning on doing. So, ByuN is going for a more rigid unit composition now. We have siege tanks. We have blue flame hellbats added into the mix as well, which I do quite like. So we're making the swap on over from Terran Bio, Terran Infantry, now into Terran Mech with Ghosts for support. And I do think Ghost Mech is really potent. Ghost Mech may actually be the new standard again, but I don't know. There's still some Marines and Marauders available. The Blinding Clouds are just so freaking powerful, man. The spread on the siege tanks is good, but Zerg has got money. And they're not afraid to flaunt it in your face. This is Solar driving a Ferrari over here. He doesn't need a Ferrari. He has to deal with, like, Seoul traffic, right? Seoul doesn't really do a lot of driving, as far as I know. I've never actually been to Seoul, Korea. But anyways, this is the type of setup where Solar can just keep doing this. I guess his main bottleneck now is Larva. Yeah, he would have instantly remaxed. He's got 4 queens, but they haven't been injecting as much. So he needs to wait for some of the Larva to regen. The only thing we don't have here is Ultralisks, right? Like an Ultra Cavern would be kind of sick. Maybe not the unit composition now that he's looking for, though. Anyways, here we go again. Rinse and repeat. Zergling run by as well, now over to the 3rd base. And while Terran is distracted here, are we going to punch? No, he was waiting for the Viper, I think, to get close. The creep spread is now really getting close as well, though, to this base here. And it's just allowing Solar, like a launching pad, to once more send another wave of the swarm in. Planetary Fortress did finish up, however, in the meantime. And, like I said, this is a Terran army that is getting better and better and better over time. Solar has also been very nice in liberating some of the SCV supply count. Whereas previously, ByuN had nearly triple digits worth of workers. He's down to 57. And while he's adding on a couple here, his maxed out army is just going to get bigger. And that is where I feel like this is still a winnable game for ByuN. If he can just create the one death ball type of army with a solid economy on the back of it, it's not unplayable anymore. Siege tanks in the front is silly, though. We should not be having those right over there. Planetary Fortress is just so freaking nice. He decides to blow it up. My god, this is getting pricey, though, for Solar, who's now down to just about, well, nearly 2,000 minerals. Oh, big expense over here too, man. He wanted to make all of those lurkers, had to cancel them again, so that's a bunch of money down the drain. Yeah, and ByuN is starting to move forward now. Has Solar been a little bit too frivolous with his spending? Has he gone too far? Yeah. Oi, oi, oi. Wait a second. I'll be honest with you, I thought that this game was in the bag for Solar, because he had everything going for himself. But he is now turning into one of those stories that you know of lottery winners that go broke within a year. It's like, brother, how did you just win the lottery and go broke within a year? How's that even possible? Why did we upgrade our lifestyle so fast? Did we really need that house in the Caribbean? Maybe we, I don't know. Is that what rich people do? I don't know what rich people do. I guess they buy a house somewhere in the great country of Europe, right? The great country of Europe, in the state of Italy, for example, or the state of France or something. I don't know. But anyways, did we need all of that? Corruptors are coming now. Solar is going for a more long-term strategy now. But I wonder if that's the right call. So how well, and that's the new question now, how well do Brute Lords do in a game like this? I'm guessing we want to go into Brute Lord Infestor. Yeah, that is the late game sustainable army that Zerg, well, at least usually can make. But how well does that function against late game Ghost Mech on the new patch? I love this for ByuN though. Getting this base up over here is big. There was a bunch of mining, of course, in the far upper right, but keep in mind that these bases now have longer juice in them. Meaning that Solar is not going to have as easy at a time to mine it all out. It's because of the resource count changes. Oh my god, wait a second. ByuN is actually going to take over the upper right-hand corner of this map. And there's plenty of mining to be had here. There's many thousands of resources available. And in the meantime, the base on the left is out. So he can really focus all of his attention on just the upper right-hand corner. Like, yeah, I may lose the planetary here, maybe a couple siege tanks, but it is hardly the most important line of attack. Wait, what? Oh, is this another bug? Is that why we haven't really seen much Microbial Shroud? Wait a second, I'm gonna have to look up the patch notes right now. Give me 1 second. Microbial Shroud can now be cast without requiring an upgrade from the Infestation Pit. Huh. Well, this is most definitely the new patch. But apparently, we are experiencing another bug or something? How weird. How strange. Solar sneaking out of base over here in the far upper right. So the alternative change, or the additional change rather, to the Infestor is that Microbial Shroud range is now way bigger. Quality patch yet again by Blizzard, man. You love to see it. It's only been up for like a week and a half or so at this point, so we should have really not expected any sort of follow-up. Ooh, upgrades. Actually a very strange situation here. Like, there's a bunch of really weird bugs in this. I'm hoping the Blizzard people, my god, 4 additional CCs. I'm hoping they're gonna be able to give us a little update as to what their future plans are, because I'm a little bit concerned about all of it. Like, these big changes do require Blizzard to have their finger on the pulse. And so far, they don't yet in the PTR patch, right? Like, there's clearly a lot of problems that need to be addressed, and they haven't yet. So, I'm hoping that does not speak volumes of the future. In the meantime, though, Solar is trying to collapse on top of his army, and he will be able to reduce the Terran supply count quite a bit. But it's okay for ByuN. Like, I don't really hate it. What about the Brute Lords here on the left side of the map? Okay, fair enough. But this is not that important a base anymore here for ByuN. He starts up Viking production. He goes into additional ghosts. Fair enough. I think we're actually overdoing it with the command center count. I'm hoping for ByuN that these are the final command centers that he makes, because we really can't have too many CCs. He lost 4 of them in this game. He has 11 and then a bunch over here that are still building and a bunch of planetaries. I mean, it's all a bit much. Microbial Shroud here, though, is kind of nice to keep these lings alive. Banelings slip through the cracks. Say goodbye to your mineral line if you're not going to move the SCVs. Actually, not the end of the world here. It's a lot of mules going down, but that's mostly energy. Some SCVs are also going to fall down. Quite a few, actually. Maybe more than some. But ByuN is striking back here in the upper right. Brute Lord still tearing this army apart. Where are the Vikings? Ah, you guys were all army hotkeyed over here. Fair enough. That's a lot of drones, though, that we'll have to find a new mineral line. Building armor finishes up now? Wait a second, I didn't even quite realize that. Building armor was supposed to be done a long time ago. Such an important upgrade. Yeah, so the trap sometimes that we see ByuN falling into is that he makes too many command centers. Finally, the Vikings are starting to work away at these. There are more Vikings than this, right? Yeah, there's 3 of them. This is expensive, though, for Solar. Keep in mind that these Brute Lords killed a couple siege tanks and a planetary, maybe, but, like, that's hardly the end of the world here for ByuN. Hatchery being taken over here again. Goes, though, with their new auto attacks. Not too bad. I'm a little worried here for Solar. Solar is running out of gas. He's running out of juice. He's running out of a lot. And these very aggressive pushes, like going back to Hydroling Bane, it means that he's effectively saying, yo, I don't want to play a sustainable unit composition. This is the type of army that you play when you have minerals and gas for days, but he doesn't anymore. ByuN is now transitioning still into more and more Ghost Mech. He actually maxes out again. Taking another base over here. Fungal. Microbial Shroud. Look at the auto attack of that Infestor. How weird. We are going to try and engage over here in this location. Fungal growth onto one Ghost, but the rest of the Ghosts are backing up. Orbital Command here does fall, but a lot of Snipies will still connect as the Zerg tries to run away. Solar supply count just took an absolute nosedive. And the Ghost Army is getting big. The Ghost Army is starting to look unbeatable. The Ghost Army may be a little bit too strong. We only have, however, one Medivac here. Wait a second. There's not enough room to bring you guys out. He's going to activate Cloak. There is a Spore Crawler over here, but it does not matter. I can't believe ByuN won this game, right? Remember how, like, 15 minutes ago, about 80% of the map was Solar? Ultimately, this game, and with it, this series, it ends with a ByuN victory. Well done, GG.